Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is Wednesday, December 24th. Merry Christmas Eve to all those who celebrate. As you can see, or you're probably listening, so you can't see, I am currently back in Ottawa. I am in what used to be my sister's old room, now my mom's home office, and I'm recording a podcast for you all because football never sleeps, even during the holiday season. And this year would have been a good time for the NFL to take a break off at Christmas because it is not a great slate of games, I can tell you that. This episode, though, like always, going to be recapping the last week of the NFL, and I'm going to end it with my top 15 draft prospects so far anyways. Start diving into the draft a little more. One of my favorite things about the NFL is the NFL draft, but I'm going to do kind of like a marathon recording here. So all that means is Friday's episode going to be from the same recording. So I'm previewing the games a couple days earlier than I usually do, just because, again, I'm not trying to record a podcast on Christmas. I can record it on the 23rd. That's fine. Christmas, that's a little fucking crazy, even for me. But yeah, should be a good episode as always. I am going to do another intro, I guess, after I'm done this episode, but let's just get into this episode right now. Starting off with the game we watched last night, 49ers at Colts. 49ers, 48, Colts, 27. Yeah, the 49ers offense is good. We all knew this. We all knew that, actually, I don't think people did know this, because we knew Christian McCaffrey was good. We knew Kittle was good, but then it's like, I don't know about Brock Purdy. I don't know about Juwan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall. And Ricky Pearsall was hurt in this game, so it didn't even matter. But, yeah, the 49ers are really good. Like, this is what I kind of talked about earlier on in the season, where once this Niners offense gets healthy and if they start humming, and they are a top 10 offense, maybe top 5. And if you have like a really, really good offense that can kind of compete with everybody else. We saw the same Colts defense from last week, almost stonewall. They held the Seahawks to, 6 field goals? I think that sounds right. And like the Seahawks have one of the best offenses in the NFL, and this Colts defense held them to field goals only. Clearly used up all of their juice in that game because the Niners just walked all over them. But it was a lot of fun. Brock Purdy, 5 touchdowns on the day. He was great. Christian McCaffrey now has his 5th season of 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving, tying Marshall Faulk for that mark. There's not a lot of bad things I can say about the 49ers. Even the defense. Their defense, again, while not being talented at the moment, is always coached up really, really well by Robert Saleh. Probably a potential head coaching candidate for this cycle. That's something else I'll have to talk about too at some point, just like the head coaching cycle. It's not a very good year to need a head coach. But I digress, at least for now. The 49ers are good. 49ers are going to make the playoffs. Watch out for Kyle Shanahan, Coach of the Year. He should win Coach of the Year. Actually, that's something here. Let me talk about the 49ers just overall. Coach of the Year right now has been... There are so many guys who are deserving. Starting off with Kyle Shanahan, you have the Patriots with Mike Vrabel, the Jags with Liam Cohen, the Bears with Ben Johnson, the Seahawks with Mike McDonald, Sean Payton. It's a long list of names. Unlike previous years, but regardless. Where my vote would be going, if I had a vote, would be Kyle Shanahan. Because these other teams haven't dealt with the injuries that the Niners had. Their quarterback has been almost out half the year. Kittle missed games. Pearsall's missed games. Juwan Jennings missed games. Bosa, Fred Warner, both out for the year. Their rookie first-round pick, Mykel Williams, out for the year. This team has been so hurt, yet they are in control of their own destiny to win the NFC West, and I think they still have control of their own destiny to be the 1 seed in the NFC. I take that back. That might be... Nope, because I was going to say, it might be the Bears. The 49ers play the Bears this week. Kyle Shanahan deserves a ton of praise. He hasn't won the award before. I think that it should be Shanahan's award to get, in my opinion, just because of all the adversity and injuries they've dealt with this year, on top of still being one of the best teams in the NFL somehow. So shout out to Kyle Shanahan. Colts on the other side here. You could tell from the very beginning, the 49ers game plan for the Colts offense was stack the box, stop Jonathan Taylor, let Phillip Rivers try to beat us with his arm. And you know what? Credit where credit's due. Shout out to Phillip Rivers, because he actually played pretty decent football. Again, you can tell that his arm isn't obviously nearly as strong as it used to be, but he still finished on the day 23 of 35, 277 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and an interception. Like, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers coming off his couch 2 weeks ago is putting up that stat line. It's pretty damn good. Like, again, ton of credit to Phillip Rivers for doing what he's doing right now. A little bit unbelievable, but they keep managing to do their thing. Just unfortunately, though, what a disaster second half of this season for the Colts. And it's tough because it's not like, oh, you can't really point it to like one single thing. It's just injuries happened, and a lot of injuries happened. And now this team that's given up part of their future to contend specifically for this year, now all of a sudden aren't going to make the playoffs and are probably going to finish like with a are going to finish with a top 20 pick. And it's not even their pick. Again, I feel bad for the Colts. This looked like it was going to be a really promising special type of year, and the injuries just piled up, but at least Phillip Rivers is fun to watch a little bit anyways. We'll go back all the way to Thursday night now. Rams 37, Seahawks 38. This game went to overtime. One of the best games of the year. And on it, like, two of the best teams in the league, mind you. In their matchups this year, the Rams have scored 58 points and totaled 830 yards, and the Seahawks have scored 57 points and totaled 829 yards. That's just how close both of these teams have been all year. And I really got to talk about the Seahawks defense. This Seahawks defense absolutely came alive in the fourth quarter for them. And like really, really, really stepped up. They only get better as the game gets longer, in my opinion. So through the first and third quarters, they had a pressure rate of 26.9%, 7 quarterback pressures, and a blitz rate of 38.5%. In the fourth quarter and overtime, they had a pressure rate of 40. They had 10 QB pressures, and they only blitzed 16% of the time. So as the game went on, they started blitzing less, and they started getting more pressure. It's very, very impressive how good this Seahawks front is, comprised with guys, Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Murphy, Uchenna Nwosu, Derek Hall. The Seahawks defense has been awesome this year, has lived up to my expectations fully from where I had them in the preseason. It's a lot of fun. Now, other things to kind of talk about. Get Rashid Shaheed the damn fucking football. He is far too good to use him sparingly. And he's a big reason why he has kind of like broken games open the last few weeks for them through like big returns. And he had another one, obviously, in this one, big punt return. But like, he's clearly one of their more talented offensive weapons that they have. Find ways to use him. You traded for him for a reason. He's clearly, again, he's still making his mark despite not getting as much playing time as he probably should. Get Rashid Shaheed the ball. Sam Darnold, I'm still iffy on going forward. He's clearly a good quarterback. We know this, but he still has his down moments. And again, the offense in general isn't fantastic, but they won the game. They beat the Rams. That's huge. We can go on to the Saturday. Oh, I didn't even talk about the Rams, really. That was all about the Seahawks. Puka Nacua, after the disaster of a week that he had, he turned it on Thursday night. 12 catches, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns on the year. He is now neck and neck with JSN for Offensive Player of the Year right now, so that's a lot of fun. Puka's a lot of fun. Matt Stafford's a lot of fun. This Rams team is, again, we all know it is very, very, very good. They just kind of got to close out games a little bit better. But regardless, now we can go on to the Saturday games. First Saturday game here, Eagles 29, Commanders 18. This was a bad game from the Eagles, and I don't care what, they won by 11. It clearly couldn't have been. The first, 3 quarters of this game were neck and neck. The Commanders were right there with them. And this Commanders team is one of the worst in the NFL, one of the worst defenses, with their backup quarterback playing, not a good team, and the Eagles were struggling against them. And then Marcus Mariota, unfortunately, gets hurt, and in comes old man Josh Johnson for... I counted it the other day. I think he's played on 14 different NFL teams, and then 3 UFL, AFL, XFL teams. He's had a long career, and shout out for him. Again, he's played in the league forever, it seems. But he came in, and as we all know, he is old and not very good at football, and that's when the Eagles started to take over. The Eagles are one of these teams where the talent is so clearly there across the board everywhere, but you just have no faith in them to do anything. Where, would it shock me if the Eagles go on another Super Bowl run or win the Super Bowl again? Not at all. But do I have any faith that they can replicate that again? No. I have no faith in them. They are still probably the most talented roster in the NFL. It's just between coaching and vibe, I have no idea, but the Eagles might be one of the most talented bad teams ever. And again, they're not a bad team, but they are a bad team. But they aren't a bad team. But they are a bad team. I'm just going to go in circles with the Eagles. I feel like I've been going in circles with them all year just because I don't understand what they're doing. Jake Elliott, though, they officially just don't have a kicker. And that's not, they cut Jake Elliott or Jake Elliott retired out of the blue. Jake Elliott's just really bad at his job. He missed 3 kicks in this one. Missed the first one. The second one he missed. Then there was a penalty, so they moved it forward, and he still missed that one again. I think he's currently kicking 75% of his field goals. Some reporter asked him after, it's is this a mental issue, or is this and he's I wish it was a mental issue. He clearly knows that he just doesn't have it anymore, and he's just hoping that the Eagles don't cut him. I mean, the same thing kind of happened to him last year, where it's this might be the beginning of the end, and he pieced together a couple games, but that's the thing. The Eagles should have no faith in him. 45 yards plus, which is terrible for an NFL kicker, especially in today's day and age. Commanders. Shout out Josh Johnson. I did that already. We can move on to the Saturday night game. Packers at Bears. Packers 16, Bears 22. Another overtime game. And this started off kind of like typical Bears, where they drove down the field early and then Ben Johnson tries to get too cute with it and they fumble, taking them out of field goal range. I think that would end up being a turnover on downs too, because it was 4th down. And then, kind of gritting and grinding. Caleb's playing well, but the completion percentage isn't that high. And, they're running the game, or they're running the ball well, but they need to pass more. And then the 4th quarter started, and Caleb Williams absolutely came alive. Couple nice drives, eventually leading to the chance to have an onside kick. They recover the onside kick, and then Caleb Williams drives down the field, ties up the game, and then his pass to DJ Moore in overtime was chef's kiss. That is why Caleb Williams has the potential to be a truly special quarterback in this league. People complain, his completion percentage is so low, and it is. But I personally wouldn't care if my quarterback can do stuff that a handful of other quarterbacks can do in the league. Again, and maybe his completion percentage is low, but he's also the yards not... How am I going to phrase this? The yards that he doesn't allow when he gets sacked, so like the negative yardage plays from like him evading sacks and evading pressures and stuff like that, that doesn't really get accounted for, and it should, because that is, again, Caleb Williams is one of the best in the NFL at evading the rush, and it hasn't been great when he's like, okay, got to avoid the defender and then look for the guy downfield. He has been fairly inaccurate, but he's been getting better. And that DJ Moore throw was one of the best I've seen in the NFL in quite a long time. I don't know what to think of the Bears. Like, really. The Bears are clearly a good team, clearly well coached, but I just don't know if they have, like, the guys at the end of the day to really, like, drive this thing home. And who knows? Maybe they do. This, again, shout out, like, it's like, yes, the Packers are hurt and banged up and blah, 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 but, like, the Bears didn't have their, like, two of their top weapons with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden in this one, where I think if they were there, the Bears would have won this one a little easier. But, like, the defense still isn't great, but it's good enough. I think Nahshon Wright had another... who forced that fumble? Was it Nahshon Wright? It was Nahshon Wright. How many turnovers has he forced on the season so far? He has 5 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. Awesome. Seven turnovers for Nahshon Wright on the season. I don't know, like, I'm believing in the Bears, but it's hard. Everyone is so clumped together where, I don't know, like, the 7-seed wild card team could absolutely end up winning the Super Bowl this year. It's a very fun year in terms of that. Packers on the other side. The Packers make the playoffs now that the... No, they have not clinched. What are the... They've essentially clinched because the Lions have to win out and the Packers would have to lose out, and the Packers play the Ravens and the Vikings. The Packers won't lose to the Vikings regardless. Yeah, okay, Packers on the other side. Jordan Love leaves with a concussion. Unfortunate. And in comes Malik Willis to try to get the game back on track. Malik Willis is a good quarterback. When he was coming out, what draft was that? The 2022 draft, where no one was good as a quarterback prospect. A lot of people liked Malik Willis just because he was such a raw, talented player. Like, you could clearly see how good of an athlete and his arm talent, but he played at Liberty, where their offensive scheme was, okay, that's the guy you're throwing to, throw to that guy. Not exactly very intricate, complicated system. And now Malik Willis has twice now, I mean, it's been more than twice, but I feel like every time that Willis comes in for Love, he kind of looks better. And I don't know if that's Matt LaFleur, like, with his back against the wall and play calling and just being like, I got to call a fantastic game now. But either way, Malik Willis is good. I wouldn't mind him in Miami next year. He is a free agent next year with not a great group of quarterbacks coming in this draft. And obviously a lot of teams need quarterbacks. Malik Willis is someone who should be a potential starter going into week 1 next year, which should be a lot of fun. I don't know. Anything else here? Not really. The Packers... Oh, actually, I do have a fun stat for the Packers. There have been 11 games this season where a team hasn't punted. The Packers are 0-2 in those games, and the rest of the league is 9-0. Because typically, when your punter doesn't punt, that means your offense is doing really well. Not in this case, though, for the Packers. We can go on to these Sunday games, though. Bills at Browns. Bills 23, Browns 20. The Bills aren't a good team. Josh Allen is great. James Cook is great. The offensive line is great. Everyone else, terrible. And that might be a little harsh, potentially, but There are no difference makers at tight end, at wide receiver, on defense. People might point, oh, well, Greg Rousseau had a good game. Greg Rousseau was pass rushing against me. I would hope he would have a good game against Cleveland. Yeah, like I don't know how the Bills are going to win playoff games. Like, let's just be real here. The Bills are not a well-built team. It just all depends on, can Josh Allen and James Cook carry this team to just score more points than the other guys? Because the Bills' defense is atrocious. We know this. It is very, very bad. Again, they got after Shedeur. They turned the ball over, but the Browns are the Browns, and it should not be a 3-point game by the end of it where the Browns had a chance to win. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any faith in the Bills to do anything. Again, because they have Josh Allen, they always have a chance, but I'm going to find it very tough to not bet against them come playoff time, just given the shape of their defense. They won't be playing home games. Yeah. Browns on the other side. Myles Garrett officially ties the NFL sack record. He has 2 more weeks to break it now. That's about it. Shedeur played pretty well. Yeah. I think Shedeur at the end of I've kind of been saying this every week since he started, he's a fine quarterback. He is an NFL level quarterback. That's what I have noticed. I don't know how. Again, NFL quarterback. That's a big scale, all the way from third string to starters. Where I think that Shedeur belongs in the NFL. I think that he can be some type of NFL quarterback for quite some time. We'll just see how that ends up going. Harold Fannin, awesome. Continues his great rookie year. He's just behind Tyler Warren in tight end yards, which I think Tyler Warren's 6th or 5th or something like that. So that makes Harold Fannin 6th or 7th. 6-7. But unfortunately, other rookie, Quinshon Judkins, terrible injury. I think it was a knee dislocation. Your leg is not supposed to bend that way. But either way, we can keep going here. Chargers at Cowboys. Chargers 34, Cowboys 17. I said during the preview last week where I needed one of 2 things to happen. The Cowboys blow out the Chargers, or the Chargers blow out the Cowboys. And the Chargers did exactly what they needed to do, and they blew out the Cowboys. However, it's just another impressive, unimpressive win for them. And I know I was whoa, but you said, I know what I said. But then Quinnen Williams wasn't there for the Cowboys. And not that I think that Quinnen Williams would have been a huge difference maker, but Quinnen Williams is really good, and the Chargers' offensive line is really bad. And Quinnen Williams definitely could have helped out a little bit. Definitely a little bit. But at the end of the day, here are the Chargers with a chance to win the AFC West, a chance to be the 1 seed in the AFC, and me still being that's just not a great team. And I had a lot of hope for the Chargers at the start of the year. Don't let people forget that. I believed in the Chargers. I thought that this was going to be the Chargers' year, Justin Herbert's year, and it isn't because of all the injuries that have happened for this team, but they're still winning. They're still good. The culture has been built there by Harbaugh. This is a well-constructed, well-built team that just wants to win and can grit and grind out wins in many, many different ways. It is impressive from that aspect. Now they have the Texans this coming week, and we'll see how they look again, but their defense is playing well. Herbert, when he has time, again, he looks fantastic. It's just most of the time he doesn't have time to do anything. Yeah, the Chargers are weird. Do I have any faith in the Chargers of making a run, winning the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. But they might be the 1 seed and have a bye. So what the fuck do I know, I guess. Cowboys on the other side, not a whole lot to really say about this team. George Pickens, good game. CeeDee Lamb, okay game. No points scored in the second half. That's bad. Obviously, that's bad. yeah, I don't know. The Cowboys need some help, and we obviously know that they need some help, but they got lots of draft picks for the next couple. Lots might be too kind, anyways. They got some draft picks, anyways. But corner Trayvon Diggs, he returned off IR. I didn't know what his injury was. I know that he tore up his knee last year, whatever, and I thought he was still kind of battling coming back from that, and it's just been a long grind to get him back. No, apparently the dummy tried to install a TV on his ceiling, and the TV fell on him and concussed him, and that's why he has been out for this long. And yes, you heard that right. He tried installing a TV on his ceiling. Because, who doesn't need a TV on their ceiling? I have one right up above me right now. I don't, obviously. That is one of, the funnier injuries. I mean, we've seen baseball players. I mean, there was a baseball player, a while ago who cut his hand up in a drone and couldn't play. I mean, there was... what's his name? Jack Hughes on the New Jersey Devils, who went out for dinner and somehow cut his hand on a glass and was out for multiple weeks. And then we have this, where a TV falls on you and concusses you. It's unbelievable. Again, I don't know why anyone needs a TV on their ceiling. I don't know why any millionaire would try to do that themselves. But maybe it's just big rich things that I don't understand. We'll keep going, though. Jets at Saints. Jets 6, Saints 29. I am man enough, I am big enough to admit that I was wrong about the Saints this year. Now, are the Saints a good team? Absolutely not. But the Saints are playing much tougher, better football than I would have thought that they would. And a lot of people are going to credit rookie Tyler Shuck. And yeah, Tyler Shuck's been playing well. 300-yard passing game. Cool. He also had 32 attempts going into half, which is the most, or tied for the most this year, which 32 attempts going into a half is crazy, either way. But yeah, the Saints are kind of building something very, very slowly, and their cap is still in hell, and I don't think their defense is very good whatsoever, but they've got some building blocks on that offensive line. They drafted Tali Fuaga 2 years ago. He's the right tackle. They drafted Kelvin Banks this past year at left tackle. And quietly, Kelvin Banks has been pretty good. It's kind of like his draft process, where everyone knew Kelvin Banks was a good player, and just no one really talked about it. And Kelvin Banks is a good player, and no one's still talking about it. So all of a sudden, that offensive line is okay now. We got, again, 2 young building blocks at tackle. Jawan Johnson is 4th in yards for tight ends across the league. Shout out to Jawan Johnson, Tyler Shuck's former Oregon teammate from 6 years ago. That's fun. And Chris Olave also having a career year. I think he has, what does he have? 92 catches, almost 1,100 yards and 8 TDs. Those are almost all career best for him too. He talked about he was potentially contemplating retirement with all of his concussion issues, and now he's looking good. I think that he's a free agent, though, this upcoming season, so it'll be interesting to see how the Saints handle that one. But, on offense anyways, I'm pleasantly surprised by the Saints. Do I think Spencer Rattler could be doing the same thing Tyler Shuck is doing? I absolutely do. But that's a conversation for another time. Jets on the other side. Don't have a lot. You started Brady Cook. Brady Cook is bad. Simple enough. The Jets finish bottom 10 in scoring and finish bottom 10 in scoring and yards for the 10th consecutive year. That is mind-boggling that they've been bottom 10 in both for 10 straight years. But that's just the Jets. And Garrett Wilson still leads the team in receiving yards despite not having caught a pass since October 12th. That just kind of sums up the Jets this year, and I don't have much more else to say, so we'll keep going. Bucks at Panthers. Bucks 20, Panthers 23. The Panthers are now in control of the NFC South. Now it still comes down to whether or not the that final game, week 18 between them. I mean, I guess technically the Bucks could lose to the Dolphins this week, and then the Panthers could win, and I think that clinches it up for the Panthers. But the Bucks aren't going to lose to the Dolphins because the Dolphins fucking suck. But yeah, Panthers. Ted McMillan, really good at football. New favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Ted's awesome. Bryce had a good game, despite the run game not being great. They still managed to kind of do what they needed to. The Panthers defense, again, it's up and down and up and down. They had one of their better weeks this week. A couple sacks, an interception, a big interception for Latham Ransom, the rookie, at the end of the game. Yeah, these are two teams that someone has to make the playoffs, and I'm not excited about either of them getting there. And it looks like the Panthers are going to be that team. I did say it on Friday where the Panthers are like playing for something new and exciting, where the Bucks, most of these guys have won a Super Bowl and have been part of like division contending teams where like they know that they aren't as good as previous years and aren't playing as hard, and that was very, very evident. And all that to say, the Buccaneers are just broken. They need a total reset, whether or not that's firing Todd Bowles, getting a new coach in there. Just new blood across the board is like really needed. I think they're fine on offense for the most part. Their offensive line's like a little hurt right now, but their offensive line is good when they're all hurt. They've got some running backs that I like. They have some wide receivers that I like. I think the offense is fine at its core. The defense on the other side, they need corners, they need linebackers, they need edge help. Like they need a bunch on defense. And I think this Bucks team needs kind of a bit of like a hard reset at some point anyways. We'll see what ends up happening with that. But we can keep going. Vikings at Giants. Vikings 16, Giants 13. The Vikings win a nail-biter, which I really don't care about. JJ McCarthy plays some not very good football again. Got bailed out by Abdul Carter on one penalty that ended up being a pick six coming back. And then they ended up getting another defensive touchdown anyways later on in the game. The Vikings win this one because Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are better than Mike Kafka, and I don't even know any other coach on the Giants staff right now. That's why they won this game. They won, not an exciting game, not a good game. I don't have much to talk about that. I think Max Brosmer starting on Christmas, that's absolutely terrible. So we can move on. Do I have anything like really? Justin Jefferson had an 80-yard game. That's cool. He hasn't done that in a long time. Next game up here, Chiefs at Titans. Chiefs 9, Titans 26. Yep. Bad for the Chiefs, but we'll start off with the Titans, and I was kind of talking about it last week. Cam Ward does some truly freaky things on offense where, again, I talk about only a handful of guys can make plays like that. Yeah, only a handful of guys can make the same kind of plays that Cam Ward does, where he kind of drifts back in the pocket, he's off platform, but he can still throw it like 45 yards down the field. It's very, very impressive to me what he can do, what he has done, despite really not having anyone of quality on offense, not named Tony Pollard, because Tony Pollard is good. I will keep saying, or I will remain, whatever, Tony Pollard's good. That's all I'm really trying to say here. But yeah, Cam Ward does a lot of fun things, and that's kind of all you want to see from Cam Ward. It's just him do fun things that you can build off potentially for next year. And he's definitely done that. We'll see how he does next year. Jeffrey Simmons, awesome. One of the best defensive tackles in football. We knew this. The Chiefs on the other side. Bad. Very, very bad. Gardner Minshew also leaves the game with an injury. He's now out for the season, and it is third-string quarterback Chris Oladukin. Yep, that's another quarterback who will be starting on Christmas, is Chris Oladukin. I know he's from a very, very small school. I don't know how that's going to go for him. I think it's Chiefs Broncos. Either way, the Chiefs are bad. The Chiefs need a lot of help. The Chiefs need a big, big, big retooling for them next year. And we'll see how that goes. I don't have a lot on this game, obviously, because it was not a good game. Speaking of not good games, Bengals at Dolphins. Bengals 45, Dolphins 21. Yeah, I mean, of course, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase torched the Dolphins. One thing I wasn't expecting, though, was Chase Brown to literally double his season total rushing TDs. He went from 3 rushing touchdowns at the start of this one to 6 to finish it. This is kind of what I expected. I didn't think that the Bengals would score 45 points necessarily, but yeah, I thought that the Bengals offense was absolutely going to roll, and it absolutely did roll. We could not stop them whatsoever outside of like a few kind of nice plays. It is what it is. Yeah, good job on the Bengals for getting a worse draft pick. Woo. Dolphins on the other side. The players that I wanted to see play well, played well. Devon Achane, good game. Chop, Kenneth Grant, they made a couple splash plays, good job. Jordan Brooks, cool. Jalen Waddle, cool. Everyone else, Patrick Paul, Aaron Brewer, good. Yeah. Quinn Ewers was intriguing for about like a half, and then the second half happened, and it was like, okay, he's not very good, and we knew this, but yeah, it sounds like McDaniel is just fully done with Tua, and I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but like, yeah, I would also be done with Tua because he, one, isn't a good quarterback. That is one thing I will say. Phillip Rivers made a throw at the end of the game on Monday night where, yeah, he put his whole body into it. Like that looked like a stronger, further throw than I have seen from Tua at all this year. Like, Rivers wound up through that, and I'm like, that's a better arm than Tua. And I said that, I was saying it jokingly last week when Rivers was making his start, and no, I genuinely think it's true that Phillip Rivers has a stronger arm than Tua right now, which is, again, absolutely crazy, but that's where we are, and we can keep going. Jags at Broncos. Jaguars 34, Broncos 20. Trevor Lawrence has arrived? I don't know. The Jags have arrived. The Jags are going to be a very, very tough team to beat come playoff time, which again, wild thing for me to say. I think the Jags also have the inside track for the 1 seed right now, but lots can still happen. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I think over his last 5 games, has 17 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. I think the 0 turnovers, that might not be true, but I think the 17 total touchdowns is true. Like, Jacoby Myers is getting going. BTJ is getting back into the mix. The run game is good. The run game was not good in this one, but it didn't matter because Parker Washington was there, and Parker Washington became the first wide receiver this season against the Broncos to have 100-plus yards and a TD. Apparently the Broncos struggle against like whoever the third option is in a passing attack, and when your third option is Parker Washington or Brenton Strange, 2 guys who are actually like good at their jobs, it becomes tough to defend. I don't know. Like, the Jags confuse me, but while making sense. I don't think their offensive line on paper doesn't look very good, but it's clearly good enough to, I mean, the Broncos did sack them 5 times in this game, but it's clearly good enough in a lot of other aspects where it doesn't really matter. No, this is like a big, like, again, to beat the Broncos at home too. Again, ton of credit to Liam Cohen, to his staff, to the front office, to all the players for doing what they've done this season. It's been a very, very fun year for them. And I hope it continues, and it will continue. The Broncos on the other side. This is what I kind of mean, where you guys aren't as good as you think you are, and this this matters. Bo Nix, couple costly turnovers like he usually does have. The run game looked better, but it was really just one big RJ Harvey rush. And other than that, it's not been pretty. The defense did have 5 sacks on the day. I think that they're getting close to that record. That's a lot of fun for them. But again, this is part of the reason why I don't believe in the Broncos. To lose by 2 touchdowns at home to a team of like equal caliber, that's not good. I mean, it's clearly not good. But no faith in Bo Nix. And we can keep going. Falcons at Cardinals. Falcons 26, Cardinals 19. Bijan Robinson, very, very good at football. We all knew this, but 76 yards on the ground, 92 receiving, added a touchdown too. Bijan's awesome. Bijan also has 2,000 scrimmage yards this season. He's not like CMC where it's like 1,000 and 1,000, but he's pretty damn close. He got 776 yards and then 1,250 yards rushing. Bijan's awesome. Like, we know that Bijan's awesome, but Bijan's awesome. Kyle Pitts, another touchdown too. Makes it his 5th on the season, his 5th in year 5. Kyle Pitts has done the thing where every year of his career, his rookie year 1 touchdown, his sophomore year 2 touchdowns, third year 3, fourth year 4. You get the idea. So maybe by the end of Kyle Pitts' long, illustrious career, let's say he plays for 12 years, maybe he'll finish with 12 touchdowns that year. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to talk about. Cardinals on the other side. Michael Wilson caught a touchdown pass with his legs. And that's about all I have to add in this one. So we can keep going. Raiders at Texans. Raiders 21, Texans 23. The fact that the Raiders scared the Texans for a little bit of like, they almost won this game, which the Raiders should not be winning any games, especially against a team like the Texans. And the Texans did, Stingley had a pick 6 in this one, did he not? I feel like I distinctly remember Derek Stingley running the ball in for a touchdown. He did have a pick 6. Was not a pick 6, sorry. Wait, what? Oh, Stingley's just awesome, and he had a forced fumble and a pick. Cool. But it was a pick 6, but it didn't matter. The fact that... So I've been saying it's like as long as the Cowboys, as long as the Texans' offense is average, they will be good enough to just do whatever. Their defense is so good where them being average is all you need, really. And going against the Raiders, you expect them to be much, much better. This Raiders defense, again, is bad. And you expect them to be much better, and they just were flat out not. And I don't know. And again, maybe this is a game this is like a look-ahead game. They have the Raiders this week, and the Raiders stink. So they're like, okay, whatever. And then they have the Chargers next week. And the Chargers game is a very, very big game for many a reason. But, yeah, not a great showing from the Texans offense anyways, but again, this week's game is the game that really, really matters for them. Raiders on the other side. Ashton Jeanty is good. And this game should give a lot of Raiders fans hope for next year, knowing that, like, okay, Ashton Jeanty is the guy. He's awesome. He's fantastic. And maybe you still shouldn't have picked him like 4th overall this year when you had so many other glaring issues, but he's a good player at the end of the day. He finished this one with 25 total touches, 188 total yards, and 2 touchdowns. He looked like the Boise State version of Ashton Jeanty, where like, oh, despite people like trying to tackle him, he was breaking those tackles. He was making guys miss. Very, very, very fun player. I know that Will Anderson on the defense after the game was like, especially like, he's like, yeah, like I've heard people like talk about him, but like to see that in person, like that was impressive. D'Amico Ryans gave him a ton of praise too. So like that should make you feel a little bit better, Raiders fans, that Ashton Jeanty is clearly good. Just the rest of the team is clearly terrible. And finally with the Raiders, Devin White has set the franchise record for tackles in a season. Shout out to Devin White. A lot of people are shitting on Devin White for this, where like, yeah, Devin White is not having a good year. And like the tackle stats say otherwise. But yeah, when your defense is on the field more than anybody else and you have opportunities to rack up more tackles. But with that being said, the Raiders have been around for a long time. They have had many greats across their defense, and the fact that Devin White can say that he has like the Raiders franchise record for tackles in a season, I think that's cool. I think that's just like whatever, and like say what you want about Devin White as a player, but to say that you have a franchise record for a team that has like the history like the Raiders do, to be like, I'm their all-time leading franchise tackler in a season, like that's cool. So shout out to Devin White. Keep going here. Steelers at Lions. Steelers 29, Lions 24. And for the 19th consecutive season, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers will finish without a losing record for the 19th straight time. And that was the 200th win of Tomlin's career. All of a sudden, the Steelers are playing pretty good football. And am I like, again, Aaron Rodgers playing pretty good? And it's like, oh wow, did Aaron Rodgers turn back the clock, or did he play the Dolphins and the Lions defenses recently? I'm more leaning on he's played the Dolphins and the Lions recently more than Aaron Rodgers has turned back the clock. But yeah, I don't know. The Steelers, like, again, I still don't give them a lot of credit. They're playing good ball. Do I think it matters? Absolutely not. The team that gets to play the Steelers in the opening round, I don't know who that's going to be, but a lot of teams want that. I know that, like, the Bills want to play the Steelers. The Chargers want to play the Steelers. Like, any of these teams want to play the Steelers round one. I can guarantee you that. But credit where credit is due. They are playing well. They ran the ball all over the Lions. Jaylen Warren had 2 rush TDs of 40-plus yards. He finished with 143 yards in this game on 14 carries. Kenneth Gainwell added another 50 yards on the ground, and Kenneth Gainwell also had probably the catch of the year, where he was getting taken down to the ground while the ball's in the air and still managed to get his hand under the ball one-handed and make that catch. Like, it was truly, truly unbelievable. Shout out to Adam Thielen, 49 yards in the game. Sure, why not? Yeah. The Steelers, they're winning. They're playing pretty good football. Do I think it matters? Do I think the Steelers are contending? No, absolutely not. I hope for their sake they at least win a playoff game this year, but we shall see. Lions on the other side. It's been a tough last couple years for the Lions, where it really seemed like last year would have been their year, except injuries. And then this year, again, injury bug didn't bite them as hard, but yeah, they're still missing 2 of the best safeties in the NFL with Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. And their offensive line just straight up isn't as good as it was last year. It has definitely taken some steps back, where the Lions don't need like a full like retooling rebuild, but they do need to add some better players to their secondary. Maybe get an actual pass rusher not named Aiden Hutchinson. Build back up that offensive line, and lucky for them, they have Brad Holmes, who I still think is one of the best GMs in the league, at the helm. So yeah, I think that the Lions will be back contending next year and all those things, but it's been tough. And it's like the Lions still, like, oh, they're 1 game out of the wild card. I guess they're a game and a half because the Packers have a stupid tie. We're like, yeah, like the Lions could finish 10-7 on the year, but it won't matter just because the NFC's been so good. The AFC, has also been so good. There's a lot of good teams this year. A lot of good teams. It's just the Lions aren't one of them this year. But hey, at the end of the day, you will finish with a top 20 pick. Hopefully that guy can be a difference maker for you. And finally, Sunday Night Football here. Patriots at Ravens. Patriots 28, Ravens 24. Drake May is really good at football. I've said that a lot this year, but it just hurts my soul just a little bit to keep saying that. 31 of 44, 380 yards, 2 passing TDs, 1 interception. Yeah. They're good. Stephon Diggs, very good. 9 catches, 138 yards. I brought it up to Cam and Keeg about, like, why isn't Stephon Diggs getting talked about as, like, comeback player of the year? And it's a stupid award to begin with. Like, coming back from an ACL injury means almost nothing, like, now. But I don't know. At least my perception of Diggs going into this season was, okay, his last years in Buffalo weren't great. Then he goes to Houston last year, tears his ACL, and now he's a 32-year-old wide receiver coming off an ACL tear going into a new system again. And I was like, okay, like, I don't think Diggs is going to, like, really have it as much. And Diggs is still really good. Obviously, he's not, like, that prime Bills version of, like, him, but he's still, like, a really damn good player. Definitely, like, deserves to be up there for comeback player of the year, because, like, I think a lot of people wrote off him, like myself included. Again, we talk about he just wasn't as good as he was coming from Buffalo to Houston, and the big injury, but he's still a good player. He's still a good player at the end of the day. The Patriots, again, well coached, well all of these things. They just need to get healthier for the playoffs, and I think that Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, and maybe Milton Williams will all be back for their playoff run, which those will be some big additions. Unfortunately, Travion Henderson left the game with a concussion in this one, so hopefully he's back for them soon as well. Ravens on the other side. You know, like, maybe, just maybe, it would be a good idea to give the ball to Derrick Henry just at some point in the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry finished the game with 18 carries, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he did not touch the ball after he scored his final touchdown with 12 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the game. I can see why Ravens fans want to get rid of John Harbaugh. Because this has been a couple times this year. This hasn't been like a one-time thing where, we've been doing a split by committee and it was Keaton Mitchell's, turn. There's been a few times this year where Derrick Henry just hasn't gotten the ball where the Ravens have had the lead in games. Where, giving the ball to Derrick Henry to ice games is kind of Derrick Henry's thing. But no, and I can understand the growing frustration with Harbaugh where, yeah, let's not give the ball to Derrick Henry, who's averaging 7 yards a carry. Let's give it to Keaton Mitchell, who's averaging 1.2. Doesn't make a ton of sense. I would be mad with Harbaugh too. That's what that does. I think that... There we go. I don't know. The Ravens have had a tough year. They still have, an outside chance at winning the division, making the playoffs, all those things. They're not going to. Let's just be real here. Lamar leaves the game with an injury. Just sit the rest of the season out. The Ravens, even if you make the playoffs, why? You're going to get your shit kicked in that wild card round, where the Steelers might not get their shit kicked in, which is crazy to say. But I don't know. The Ravens are not good. They need some help, again, across the board. We'll see what happens. Mark Andrews is a big dumb idiot as well. That lateral, whatever he tried to do, bad, dumb, very dumb. I don't know. The Ravens just aren't a good team, but that is your Week 16 recap. Yeah, I'm at the 53-minute mark. I think I can do these NFL prospects relatively quickly, and then I'll do a whole other new episode. NFL prospects. Let's start off with my initial top 15 for the year. So I'll start off with a few guys who didn't make the cut. Wide receivers, Carnell Tate, and USC receiver Makai Lemon, just outside my top 15. Caden Proctor, outside my top 15. Avion Terrell, the corner from Clemson. Mansour Delane, the corner from LSU. None of these guys made my top 15. Maybe I shouldn't be talking but those are kind of like the next group of guys that could be part of my top 15 at some point. But I guess let's just start off, and we'll go from 15 to 1 here. So starting off at 15, we have big edge rusher Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, 6'6", 270. Probably the best run-stuffing edge in the class. If you need someone to, again, hold down that edge, don't break contain, Keldrick Falk is your guy. I wouldn't mind him in Miami. You get Chop on one side, Falk on the other. Like, I feel like Weaver can scheme that up in a bunch of fun ways, but again, needs to work on his just pass rushing moves and pass rushing skills in general. He's kind of comparable to... What the fuck was that guy's name that the Niners drafted, who I literally just talked about? He's kind of like Mykel Williams from last year. He's bigger than Mykel. I think he's much bigger than Mykel. But Mykel was like the best run defending edge last year. And this is just Keldrick Falk this year. Keldrick Falk, number 15. At number 14, we have Francis Mauigoa, the offensive lineman from Miami, 6'6", 335. Played right tackle at Miami, I believe, but most people project him to be an interior player at the next level. Again, we'll see. I'm sure he'll probably get his chance to play tackle just because tackle's the more premier position. But at the end of the day, he could probably be one of the best guards in the class. And yeah, I wouldn't mind someone who's 6'6", 335 being one of my guards. I can just say that. At number 13 here, we have Ruben Bain Jr., the edge out of Miami. 6'3", 275. Ruben Bain has been in the news quite a lot recently, and not for anything off the field or even on the field, but because of how short and stubby his arms are. No official measurements yet, but apparently they're going to come in under 31 inches. And for people like, what the fuck are you talking about with arm length? Under 31 inches for an edge would be like a crazy outlier. Like, it's not even like, oh, he has short arms, like, but like he can overcome it. Like, he's in like a class of his own with arm length, apparently. Does it matter? No, especially not at the college level. Ruben Bain was one of the most disruptive defensive players this entire year. That's why he's still in my top 15, because I do think he's going to be, again, regardless of arm length, Ruben Bain Jr. is a very good football player, and I think will be at the next level. Some people are projecting him to the interior, maybe kind of being like a Kalijah Kancey type player. He's a defensive tackle for the Bucks, who's been injured for most of this year, unfortunately, but Kancey also kind of has like the shorter arms. Well, yeah, I would love to have Ruben Bain on the interior of my defense. I think that, again, and at the end of the day, if you have a defense coordinator who likes to move guys around, Ruben Bain can kind of play all four positions across that defensive line. Despite his short T-Rex arms, Ruben Bain's still a really good player. At number 12 here, we have my number 1 receiver, Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, 6'2", 195. And Jordan Tyson, he's not... This wide receiver group this year, there's no, like, I don't know, blue chip studs, like, holy crap, like, this guy's good, like a Jamar Chase or a Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, like those type guys. But, like, Jordan Tyson's, like, a really good player. And he does everything really well. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. He separates. Maybe not the best, like, yak after the catch guy, but, like, he does everything else you really want your wide receiver to do well. His one drawback, though, is injuries. Every year of his college career has had some sort of lingering issue. And right now it's his hamstring, unfortunately. And hopefully, again, he goes to the combine, gets like the all clear from the doctors, and he's just good to go. But that's like the one thing about Jordan Tyson that people are a little wary of is his injury stuff. At number 11 here, we have offensive tackle Caleb Lomu out of Utah, 6'6", 304. So Lomu, and I guess I'll also just talk about Spencer Fano, their other tackle at Utah, 6'6", 302. So Fano's the right tackle, Lomu's the left tackle. Fano's been playing college football just a little bit longer than Lomu has. I think just one extra year. He's the more technically sound player. Has better in the run game, better in, again, just kind of like across the board, where Caleb Lomu kicked Spencer Fanu over to right tackle his redshirt freshman year or something like that, so he could play left tackle. And left tackle's the blind side. Like, left tackle is technically the superior position. I don't think that really matters anymore. I mean, it does a little bit because blocking their blind sides. Regardless, both of these guys I'm very excited for. Where I think, Fano is my number one tackle in this class at the moment. I think that he will kind of be plug and play. He's good to go. Where someone like Caleb Lomu, the reason I have him a little bit lower, where I think he has a higher ceiling than Fano does, but at the moment, he's still more of a raw project, needs to build a little bit more strength under him, especially, I mean, when you're going to the NFL, you're going against all of these freakish athletes, and Lomu is a freakish athlete, but he can be more freakish, I guess. But those are the two Utah tackles. We'll just kind of clump them in together. At number 10, we have Peter Woods, the defensive tackle out of Clemson, 6'3", 315. Peter Woods at the start of the year was kind of a consensus top 3, maybe the best player in the class, and then Clemson had a terrible year. And yeah, that's kind of it. And yeah, team success shouldn't matter with like prospect like success, and I agree with that to a certain extent, but when your team isn't playing well and expectations aren't high, that's when you kind of see of who continues to like rise to the occasion no matter what, and who just kind of like, oh my god, can we just like finish the season already? And Peter Woods was definitely in the latter camp there of just wanting this season to end so he can get to the NFL. I think that he knew at the end of last year that he was going to be a high pick regardless, and he still flashed. He still had his great plays. You can still see like his motor. But yeah, he definitely took some plays off just because he did not care about this Clemson season. Still a really good player. Still my top defensive tackle. We can keep going though. At number 9, we have Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon, 6'3", 245. One of my favorite players in this class. Absolutely on par with Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland, if we're relating it back to last year. And Sadiq might be like a bigger athletic freak than both of those guys. It is rumored that he can run in the 4.3s, which would be crazy at that size. Again, he's got athleticism for days. He's a more than willing blocker. Tight ends like this are becoming more and more frequent because there's such a mismatch. And especially in college. Like, you get a guy that size who can still move as well as most wide receivers. Yeah, most linebackers or safeties or corners can't cover that. In the NFL, it gets a little bit easier. But still, being 6'3", 250 and still running like a low 4.4, still hard to cover for your linebacker, for your smaller nickel corner. He's a mismatch. And I'm hoping that someone picks him up that can use him. Maybe Miami. I kind of like that. We need a tight end, that's for sure. But Kenyon Sadiq, I like him a lot. At number 8, we have Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. Cornerback, 6 foot, 194. Hasn't played a lick of football this year. So he unfortunately tore his ACL just doing like off-season training in January. So he hasn't played since 2024. However, his 2024 tape was absolutely incredible, or at least that's what people tell me. And yeah, I believe that guy can absolutely still be the same guy and be the top corner, and I think he will be the top corner. I think that once we get to this athletic testing and people start being like, okay, he's perfectly fine medically, I think he will end up being everyone's top corner in the draft. My opinion anyways. At number 7, we have David Bailey out of Texas Tech. 6'3", 250. I'm very excited for Texas Tech to go against Oregon. Oregon has a lot of draft eligible and draftable guys just on their offense, and I'm really excited to see how Texas Tech does against the Oregon offense. But David Bailey is the key guy on that Texas Tech defense. Well, I guess they have Jacob Rodriguez, but I think David Bailey's better. I digress. Yeah, David Bailey, 6'3", 250, hit 22 miles per hour on the GPS tracker this year. Like, that's insanely fast. That probably means he also runs in the 4.4 range, and then at that size, like, I don't think that Keldrick Falk will be like a 10 plus sack guy. Ruben Bain, there's concerns of just what position does he actually play. I don't have those concerns with David Bailey. David Bailey, a 4-year player, started at Stanford, good player there. That's the NIL bag to go to Texas Tech, and absolutely broke out this year. Again, athletic freak. He's going to be my top edge. I am like 90% sure when things are all said and done, but I like David Bailey a lot. At 6, we had Spencer Fano, like I said. And at number 5, we have Dante Moore, quarterback out of Oregon, 6'3", 206. And Dante Moore is still 20 years old. I think I remember that. Yeah. Still 20 years old. Will be 20 years old as of draft night. Very, very young player. And there is still a chance that he can still go back to school. We won't know until Oregon's been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So Dante Moore might not even be a name that you really have to know at the end of the day. But if he does come out, he's a very raw prospect. Again, he doesn't have the playing time like some of these other guys. He started as a true freshman at UCLA. Then he transferred to Oregon, sat behind Dylan Gabriel last year. Now he's starting again. And he was fantastic. There are a lot of... You see him sit back in the pocket. He's just such a fluid thrower of the football. I don't know if that makes sense, but his pocket presence is good. He throws a nice football. I think he just has like the intangibles. He has good size. He's fairly athletic. He's just a really fun player. And at 20 years old, like I've been talking about quarterbacks who have been like 25, 26 getting drafted high. And here's a guy who's going to be 20 years old come draft time who can only get better. Like, fuck, let's just play the fun game of how old Tyler Shough is, because I do always forget how old he is. Tyler Shough is 26 years old. Tyler Shough got drafted as a 25-year-old turning 26 for the draft, where Dante Moore is going to be, by the end of his rookie deal on that 5th-year option, will be as old as Tyler Shough is during his rookie season. Age is still, like, again, it's not like a big factor could like concern, like obviously older guys get drafted, but like if you can draft your QB of the future at 20 years old and he's 25 when, or I guess he would be 26, and he's 26 when you can get like that first year of his new contract done or started anyways, that's big. That's very, very big. Next player up here, quarterback Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana, the Heisman winner, 6'5", 225. He just seems like he just has it. And again, I've never been able to quantify what it is, but he seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. He's a good processor. He just fits the QB role. Anytime I've seen him like talking in an interview about dissecting schemes or just anything, he seems like a really smart dude, really humble guy, is always like for the team. People talked about like, oh, so he was at Cal last year and he had opportunities to go to LSU, go to Georgia, go to some of these bigger schools to be their starter, and he believed in what Curt Cignetti was doing at Indiana, and he just wanted to play good football, go with someone who could develop him. And that to me shows that Mendoza is someone who wants to continuously get better at his craft, where I know that there's a lot of these guys in college who are more or less chasing a payday, or just kind of chasing like what gives them, I hate that I'm going to say that, what gives them the most aura. Fernando Mendoza, not like that. Very good player. Excited to see how his run in the college playoff goes. More than likely going to be the first overall pick by someone. Don't know who that's going to be yet, obviously. But And when he is the first overall pick, I will be $250 richer because I bet him at plus 10,000 to be the first overall pick at the end of April last year, because I'm just that much of a draft sharp. Thank you, Nate Tice. At number 3, we got Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, 6 foot 214. Yeah, Jeremiah Love's absolutely crazy. Like, we have talked about, like, Ashton Jeanty and Saquon and Bijan, and Jeremiah Love absolutely deserves to be in the same class as those guys. The stats weren't as flashy for like him this year. He still, again, was a Heisman finalist and all that stuff, but he was also splitting a backfield with another guy who had nearly 800 yards in like almost double-digit TDs, and I think Love finished with like 1,400 yards and 16 TDs, where he could have had like that Ashton Jeanty type season. But yeah, so he's my third overall player at the moment. Does that mean that he will be a top 5, top 3 pick? Absolutely not, because he's a running back. But whoever drafts Jeremiah Love is going to get a very special running back, very special player. At number 2, we got Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State, 6 feet, 205. Caleb Downs has been talked about one of the best safeties in college football for the last couple seasons, and this past year you can say that he's just the best defender in college football, and there's a good case for him. And unfortunately for him, he plays safety, where Caleb Downs might be the best football player in this entire draft class, but because he plays safety and not a premier position, he might fall down the draft boards just a little bit. That would absolutely be okay with me if Miami ended up with someone like Caleb Downs. That would be a lot of fun, but we'll see where he ends up going. Caleb Downs is just, again, will be a game-changing safety for someone. And then finally, my number 1 player right now, it is Arvell Reese, the big edge linebacker, whatever you want to call him, out of Ohio State, 6'4", 243. I have compared him to Jalen Walker, who got drafted last year by the Falcons, as Jalen Walker was this tweener player of, is he an edge, is he an off-ball linebacker, is he both? And turns out he's both, and I had my issues with Jalen Walker, and mainly just like his size profile and stuff like that. I didn't think he was like, he's good athletically, but I didn't think he was great athletically. Either way, Jalen Walker had a good rookie season, and all of this to say that Arvell Reese plays the exact same way as Jalen Walker, but he's about 25 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller. That makes a difference at the end of the day. Again, excited to watch Arvell Reese in these college playoffs coming up. Interested to see who does end up using him. Like, I think that, like, the ideal for someone like Arvell Reese is to get used like Andrew Van Ginkel or Kyle Van Noy, where, yeah, you can drop him back in the pass coverage, but, yeah, most of the time will be spent rushing the passer. Like, I think that Micah Parsons could have had a role like that too, but the Cowboys decided, like, nope, you're just our full-time edge, put on some weight. Where I think that the Cowboys, and they did for the first couple of years of Micah's career, was like they would drop him back in the pass coverage a little bit and play more off-ball linebacker, where I think that Arvell Reese can do either, and that's really impressive. But those, for now, are my top 15 players, and that is the episode. So I'm going to keep recording here, but you won't know that, and I will split this into 2 parts, and yeah, hopefully I'm done this before 9 o'clock, and then I can just go to bed and all those things. But Merry Christmas, everybody. And as always, if you have liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe. Tell all your friends, all that fun stuff. And until next time, peace.